Sometimes I'll start a color correction and I don't even know where it's going. I just hope I find it along the way, like an improv coloration, an improvalation. This is my lady Tia, and Tia hasn't gotten her hair done since I think November. And when she did cherry cola. So she did like a super dark, like a level 4 demi-permanent, very purpley red color. And she's been growing out her roots ever since. And she's decided she wants to have not this. She even did a test strand, as you guys can see that little chunk there. She did a couple of them. And I said to her today, sit down, we're going to fix your hair. And it's your turn, because she is an amazing stylist at my salon, and she's just been paying attention to her clients' needs, and she has not been doing her own hair, and it's her turn. She deserves it because I love her. So we decided to, of course, because we love her and we love her hair, treat it with K18. We super misted her down with water and then applied the K18 mist on top of that and combed it through, left it for about 4 minutes. And then we began with our lightening and sectioning. So what I do here is I like to put on the Framar back bib, and that's just gonna be a barrier because we're going to use this for insulation as well as protecting the cape in the chair. But let's talk about my lightener formula before we get going into my application. My lightener today is Schwarzkopf Blonde Me. I didn't mix it with Wella today. It's just Schwarzkopf with 7 volume, and I've put an ash additive. Now, some of you guys have seen from some of my other videos, I've used additives in my lighteners, and this is a very blue pigment, and it's just added to the lightener to give extra tone while it's lifting. Some people like them, some people do not. I tend to like them for services like this where we're fighting a lot of additional warmth, or when we're lifting from a very, very dark natural base to something very, very light, because this extra ash additive kind of does like a mini tone while it's lifting. So we are using that. Let's talk about my application. I've sectioned her hair essentially into horseshoe sections, and I am taking a huge glob of product and I am working it through the hair with my hands. Looks like I'm being super rough on it. I promise you I'm not being rough on her hair. I am combing the product through to get proper saturation everywhere, and I'm spreading my fingers along the length of her hair. I'm not really pinching them down to squeegee the product off. I have a gap between my fingers to kind of glide the product through her hair. And I'm also using them to kind of blend up towards her root, because as you guys can see, she has her natural regrowth, but when you're actually getting close in on the hair, you can almost get like snow blindness, and it can be hard to tell where that demi is, because demis don't fade with a hard demarcation line the same way that permanents do. So even though it's a benefit to not have as much of a long last with a demi as it is with a permanent, you still get a bit of a blur with that demarcation line, especially with the hair growing out after 8 months. It's going to have a softer line. So I do push up quite a bit further than, most people would say is necessary for this kind of color service, but I wanted to take each piece and essentially blend as much as I could with my fingers towards the root to give it a smudgy, blendy root, because we don't want to leave hard demarcation lines in there anyways. And I'm going to be, essentially, the plan is currently, as I'm bleaching her hair, because you guys know with my color corrections, we kind of just start one step at a time, reevaluate, and go from there, which is, how most people probably should do their color corrections, because you never really know what the hair is going to do, even though we did test strands. So the plan is to bleach her hair, see what's underneath, and correctively tone from there. And essentially that is what we did today. And we mixed up so many different toners, and we did lots of fun applications. And you guys are going to see what we get under this. I really did have better hopes and higher expectations for how the hair was going to lift after this. I think that the test strands that she did on her hair were done with like a 15 vol where she mixed a 7 and a 20. This little strand I'm pulling out of her hair right there. I'm pulling that away because that was previously lifted and I don't want to lift it again. But I am using 7 volume because I'm planning on leaving her for like an hour with this in to like very slowly with a low volume developer and the ash additive to just slowly cook away at that color and lift it up. So I'm working my way around the head in a horseshoe shape. And as you're going to see, I have cut off the part of the video where I've done that kind of mohawk along the top where I work from back to front. And that's only because I didn't realize that my camera hadn't really caught it. So it's just a bunch of wasted film. Nothing really different happened with that top section than what happened with the sides here. But I didn't really pay attention to how the camera didn't really capture it very well. It's mostly just like my body just there. So I'm not going to bother showing you guys that because it's just a big waste of time. Anyways, this is a good way to lift low and slow, especially because she wants to conserve her length and she's very concerned with going short, which we don't want to have to do with her. She wants to still have long hair. As her hair grows quite slow, we don't want to, traumatize our client / stylist today. We are using foil today just to kind of help insulate and keep everything moist and refreshed and warm. And then we're also going to use the end of the back bib and fold it over her hair to create this like incubated area to keep everything, again, warm and moist. And this is going to help her hair lift. And again, low and slow is the way to go, especially for something like this. But after she processed for over an hour, we kind of just checked and she was like, I just don't want my hair to be orange, like a pumpkin. And I was like, girl, look at how orange you look right now. This is so orange. This was way more orange than the test strand was. It was way more orange in person. This is insane. Anyways, this is one of those moments where I had to like stand there for honestly 5-10 minutes and think, what are my friggin' options right now? Because we don't want to bleach this again. It feels great right now, but we don't want it to not feel great. Her natural texture is so curly and dry too that we just don't want to compromise her hair. So we decided to do one bit at a time. Now let's talk about the root toner formula. This is not technically her roots, but it's like that yellow area where her roots connect to the orangey area. This is where her virgin hair was bleached and blended up. So this is Schwarzkopf Blonde Me's dark toner called Nougat and 7 volume. And what I really like about these DT toners is they are like deposit only, but they're kind of like an everything include an all-inclusive toner. They aren't just a singular color like Vibrance tends to be. Vibrance is usually 1 or 2 colors in their bottle. These colors I find are a little bit more, they have a little bit more depth. It's like a one color does all. I don't really know how to explain it. Anyways, this nougat color has like natural in it and beige in it and cool in it and chocolate in it. And what it does is it makes a really beautiful blonde color. And I wanted to start filling in this blonde area with something that was a little lighter than a level 7, which her natural is like kind of around a level 7. But I didn't want to like deepen it down too much and make it suddenly her natural and then a darker band and then an orange band. Ew, how disgusting. So I stayed away from going a little bit darker where I had considered putting in some milk chocolate into this color. But I went with just nougat. And I used 7 volume just so it's a deposit only and just blended that into the roots and kind of worked my way down. And I did this all over the head, anywhere where there was just like the blonde for that first like maybe 3 or 4 inches, worked it through with my fingers, let that sit for the entire processing time as I am panicking, thinking, what am I going to do with the orange? What am I going to do with the orange? Because girl, this is so orange. And again, I can't really bleach it. Well, I can, but I don't want to. And I'm thinking, do I just use L-44 with a dash of L-22? That could go navy. Her hair could literally go navy. It's crazy. What else do we have in our stock? So I'm thinking about this as I'm applying this color. We need to bump up that orange. We need to bump it up a level, hopefully 2 if we can, but I'm not expecting more than 1 level. And we need to proactively fight the orange, which means we need a blue base in the color. Now, what colors do I have that are blue but not too blue? They don't have too much green in it. They don't have too much purple in it. I don't really know. I go to my cupboards and I see that I have a color that I've never used before in the Blonde Me toner lines, and it's the lifting toner. So it's not really a toner. It's Blonde Me L in the color Blue Steel. And I really do think that they need to expand that line, and I think they need to include Magnum and La Tigra. But Blue Steel is fine enough to start with, and it sounds aggressive. It sounds like it's going to be a very dark blue or a very grayish blue, and I just say, you know what? Let's practice on Tia because, like, she's a hairdresser. She can handle it. She can handle the reality if her hair goes mossy green or some other terrible, disgusting color. So this is what her hair looks like with her nougat color on her roots blended down into the orange. And it's already making the hair look so beigey and beautiful. And I have high hopes for that area, but that area is only like 4 inches long. And I'm looking at these orange ends and going, oh my God, this color better work. Because again, I don't know what I want to do with this, and she doesn't really want to cut. We don't know what else to do. So here's the bottle. It's L Steel Blue. And this is what it apparently looks like if you put it on like a level 8 and then a 7 and then a 6. It's the second one in, although I don't really trust these charts when it comes to high lifts, Sorry Schwarzkopf, or any brand ever. I just find they don't cancel out that much orange. So we're going to put it to the test on Tia. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm using this wide tooth comb, and I am kind of blending down the nougat color, and I am blending into it the steel blue color. And again, using my fingers to kind of fully saturate these areas, and then using, I'm honestly just using a foil to flop these colors onto her head so that I can just kind of get them out of the way while I work on these lower areas. And it is very hard to kind of tell where it's the orangest and where it isn't. So I imagine that we're going to be needing to do a secondary tone / glaze over top of this, which, surprise, surprise, I am right. We will need to do something after this. But this is a really good way to, if it works, balance everything out and even out our canvas even more. Because again, this is color correction. It is not color perfection. She has so many different patches of color in her hair, and the kinds of color changes she's done over her hair for the last year with those demi-permanent. She's layered on different colors each time and really messed around with it. So the last one that she did was Cherry Cola Red again, and that has so much orange and red in its base. So it's just kind of all over the place, and I'm really, praying to the hair gods, Guy Tang and Zach Mesquite, Hair Buddha. I'm just kind of praying to all of them that this will work. And I'm actually really surprised by the results of this L Steel Blue. It is not as intensely blue as I thought it would be on her hair, which is great. It actually kind of ends out being a great balancer. And I'm glad I experimented with this like level 7 orange color, because then you guys get to all see what this color does on a super, super orange color. And so if you have a client that has that and you want to boost them up like a level and beige them out a little bit, this product works. And again, I mixed it with 20 volume because I wanted to get a level of lift out of there. I didn't want to try with anything more than 20, like doing a 30 or 40. I just didn't want to potentially compromise her hair. And her hair still felt really, really good after this. And we actually had no breakage, no melting, no damage in her hair this whole time. We were really liberal with our K18 application and quite careful with our formulations today anyway, so that all played a part in making sure that her hair stayed healthy while we did this service. But as you can see, I'm kind of using my hands to blend these two colors together, and then I'm wrapping her up in foil to keep it all warm, and I'm gonna let it process for like 20 to 25 minutes. I say 20 minutes, but it is longer than that because the amount of time that I'm spending mixing this color into the hair and fully massaging it through, kind of tinkering around with it. And then I forgot to start my timer for a few minutes. So honestly, this is probably in for an extra 10. So this is really probably on for 30 minutes overall, but that's fine. It doesn't really do much after the timer has stopped anyways. It's not like lightener where it just keeps going and going. So once this is processed for the full time, we decide to wash it out and kind of take a look in the sink what it's going to do. And then I'm going to be doing a blow dry on the one side of her head, and you guys can see what that looks like. Because we pretty much want to have a conversation each step of the way with my color corrections, and because we don't really know how everything is going to take either. Sometimes hair is super porous and sucks everything up, or it drops everything, or the porosity issues can make banding worse or better. Whatever it is, we take it step by step. We dry up a piece at a time and say, let's look at it at the indoor lighting and natural lighting, see what you think, see if you want to do the next step, and we'll kind of like go from there. So we take a look at it, and I'm just going to kind of skip ahead because this is what it looks like in the sink. So let's go ahead to what it looks like in the lighting after it's been dried. And you guys can see that it is still quite light. It has a little bit of a difference between the roots and, the rest of the hair. She's lighter than her roots, which is fine, but not ideal. We actually do want to kind of have her go more towards her natural color. She still has a little bit of inconsistency in the colors. You can see in the middle near her jaw, she's a little bit more warmth, but overall, this did a great job of blending those two colors kind of together and creating a more even canvas than what we just had. So a great fill and a great balancer. So let's move on to our next step because we agreed that we did want to glaze over her hair, darken it down, cool down some of this color, and just provide even more blend with her root to the rest of it. So our second toner, which is an all-over gloss, is Schwarzkopf Vibrance, and we mixed 7-4, which is 7 beige, and in a level 7, it's quite purpley. It's quite violet-y, so we're always very apprehensive to use this one on anyone who has porosity issues because it can overdo it and turn the hair like a denim purple. It's so weird. Also with 7-1, which is ash or like a cendre color, and a 7-1 is a pretty good, strong, cool tone, and 8-0. And the reason why we did 8-0 instead of 7-0 is because 7-0 ends up just going so orange out of nowhere. Whenever we need a 7-0, if we don't want orange in the hair, we mix together 6-0 and 8-0 in Vibrance. But 8-0 was used so that we don't accidentally, again, over-absorb color, darken it down too much, and then we have lighter roots than we have everything else. We'd rather her have darker roots and it slowly kind of, ombre out to a lighter end. And we need an O in there because we need to have that fill and that hold. And I did equal parts because I don't want to have the cool tones overtake it because, yes, I know there was orange in the hair and there was yellow in the hair, but I don't want to make her mossy or muddy looking. The 8-0 is going to fill the hair and balance it and kind of complement those cool tones in a way where it's going to help create her natural tone, which is, a cooler level 7, but even with a natural tone, they still have natural in there. They're not just ashy dishwater color hair. It still has some of that natural in there. And so I always think that it's best to mix in a natural and maybe a level above what you're aiming for if you're a little bit apprehensive and nervous. As you can see, this one is absorbing a slight bit slower, and I think that that's a good sign that we're not actually developing our color to something that's going to be too dark. If you notice that your color takes immediately, it might be a sign that your toner is too strong. If it takes a couple minutes to start sinking in, you might be on the right path. So we processed this one for about 20 minutes after I did all this massaging in. So again, probably like 25. And then we rinsed it out and blow dried it. And we're going to just kind of skip to that, the end results. And I'm going to show you guys what it looks like in natural lighting with indirect and in salon lighting. So again, this is what it looks like in the sink before it's done its processing. And there's Bubba. little jump scare. This is what her hair looks like in indirect sunlight. It looks so beautiful. I am so happy with this. It balanced out the color gorgeously. Everything looks so even and soft and fresh. Her hair feels amazing. This is what it looks like in salon lighting, where we can see a little bit more warmth and a little bit more brightness. You can see that there is a slight difference between her root and where this color is. But again, that's why I did all the blending with my fingers, so that the demarcation would be as soft as possible. Because again, we didn't want to create harsh lines in the hair, because even with good toner formulations, you can still tell a difference between someone's natural and a toner if you look close enough. So her hair ended up being so balanced out and so shiny, and like honestly I would probably call this like a teddy bear blonde, teddy bear brunette. It's soft, it's satiny, it's silky and beautiful. It's got a little bit of warmth, and it blends in so nicely with her natural that I think that, you know, even though the rule is with color corrections, this is the worst it's going to look, and every appointment after this it's only going to get better and better. This is such a good sign for a color correction. She can leave with totally natural looking hair. It looks so good on her, and people probably wouldn't really know that she has colored hair just by looking at it. And they definitely wouldn't know she had a color correction done today just by looking at it. So when she does need to get her hair done in the future, probably in about a month, we're just going to refresh it over with a similar toner to what we just did, with probably a little bit less of the 7-4, maybe add in a little bit of 7-55, just to make sure that the balance stays in there and we don't add too much ash in, because I don't think we're going to drop out a ton of color over the next month, but we will gradually fade and lighten up over time, and it will need a refresh after probably about 4 to 6 weeks. Anyways, I wanted to know what your guys' thoughts were on this color correction. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below, please, in the comment section. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram. I'm Bleach Daddy on Instagram as well. So would love to see you there. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me and Tia and Bubba for this color correction. And I'll see you guys at the next one. Have a great afternoon or evening from wherever you're from. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.